the Jeskidding show. What is it? It is a show where sometimes I'm just kidding about really offensive shit I didn't mean to say, or just something hopefully funny. And other times it's Jeskidding, where you actually recognize some thoughtful shit that came out of my mouth, which is highly unlikely. And I'm here today with my very quiet two friends here. We have Joshua Butler, film and TV director with a ton of actual credits in the world. Somebody who's actually successful. Josh Butler, please say hi. It's Joshua Butler.
Hi.
Okay, thank you. Joshua.
That's quite an introduction. Thank you, Jess.
You're very welcome. He's a lovely human being, and he'll be telling you all about what it's like to work in the entertainment industry and what is happiness. He's going to answer the question of today, what the fuck is happiness? Josh,
I may be the only person who knows the actual answer.
That's
my teaser.
Keys to the car. So we're going to give our lovely audience today the answer to the question, what the fuck is happiness? In addition to Joshua Butler, film and TV director of many credits, we'll go through that many times, we have Redneck Rebel, firefighting maniac from Kentucky. Is that true? Are you from Kentucky?
That's right, I sure am.
Right? So why don't you tell us about your life for a couple seconds, just get us warmed up on this microphone today. For the next 2 hours, we'll be listening to you talk about your sexual innuendos or whatever comes to your mind.
Right. I mean, basically just like a short introduction for me is super into fitness. I love working out. I love nutrition, things like that. Obviously love Overwatch when it doesn't suck.
Overwatch being, let's be clear for the audience that doesn't play video games and isn't as geeky as the two of us, Overwatch is a game we both obsess over on the internet. Please continue.
That's how we met. But yeah, and I'm also a firefighter. I've been a firefighter for about 9 years now. Just one of the passions of mine. I got tons of pictures and stuff on my stream sometimes that I show, but that's pretty much the majority of about me there.
And Joshua, tell us a little bit more about yourself before we dive into the topic of the day, and then we'll start taking questions from the chat room. We have lovely people such as Sharp and Obi-Wan Shinobi. These are actual people's names on the internet, so just don't be afraid of them. Don't fear them. I fear them, but don't fear them. Please continue.
Yeah, I'm a film and television director. I went to USC Film School, which my friend Jesse Cowell also did. Yeah, we have issues.
Boo. Sorry, please continue.
Yeah, Jesse is Jeskid. I'm sorry. Should I be calling you Jeskid?
Whatever is good for you.
Yeah, either way, he goes by both. He's a terrific filmmaker himself. So we are aspiring filmmakers in the world of the universe of film and television.
Wouldn't you say that we all at any point in our careers we're always aspiring filmmakers, no matter what stage of your career you're in?
I think so, and I think that may link into the answer to happiness, which may be to give up the aspiring.
Get out of the film industry immediately. Stop trying to entertain.
To stop doing this, because this is not an industry that inspires happiness.
Right. So you basically have started this podcast with a guy who's a fucking hero in Redneck Rebel, and the two of us, which are like total
Redneck Rebel has a real job,
saves lives. All we do is what do we contribute? What do we do here? I don't really understand.
We do nothing but give the illusion of entertainment.
Absolute illusion, because once it's gone, it's fleeting, right? Whereas actually he saves lives. And and by the way, Redneck, don't mute your mic in between these things if you are, because usually I want to get more actual rednockery from you.
Yeah.
Is that a word? Rednockery? Did you just come up with?
No, I like the necessary noise. And the necessary noise is good. Like if you don't laugh at some point or give some sort of really critical, snarky thing, I won't even know that you're there. I kind of need to feel your redneck presence.
It's here, man. It's here.
Thank you for that. Oh, I still have my keyboard commands on the screen. I gotta get rid of those. So we're here with Joshua Butler, TV director, and Redneck Rebel, firefighter. Also, I believe college student. Is that correct, sir? And forgive me for I'm not trying to blow.
I'm a junior, about to be a senior.
So if you don't mind me asking, how old are you? Did you go a little later? And I think that's a good thing if you did.
Yeah, I'm actually 25. When I graduated high school, I decided that I wanted to just go and work instead of going to college.
Smart man. Yeah, that's smart.
Sort of followed the path of my dad a little bit, and I just didn't really have like any direction at that point. I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. So instead of taking out huge loans and not knowing, I decided to go in the workforce, and I worked at a refinery for about 4 years. So
yes, you're everything that's actually right about America is this description so far. Please continue.
Yeah, I went and worked at a refinery for about 4 years. I worked a lot of hard labor jobs. I did scaffold building, construction. I did safety. I mean, all kinds of stuff like that. And it really, that job really taught me a lot about myself and a lot about the world. And I mean, I worked a lot and I struggled. I mean, not financially, but, you know, it just mentally and physically, just all the work. And it just really taught me a lot about myself and what I wanted out of my life. So,
and what would you say if you had to sum that up in a sentence? What would you say that you want out of your life from all of that sort of hard workery and shit that you did? And I don't mean to sound like mocking or have like a speedy New York annoying tone to it, but I'm a speedy New York tonal guy. So sorry.
Sort of like, so
it is just kidding.
When I graduated high school, it was kind of like, you know, I had interests and things like that, but I didn't really know what those interests could translate to. Mm-hmm. So obviously, like, you know, fitness and technology and firefighting. I didn't want to go be a full-time firefighter. I enjoy the volunteer work. Like, it's something I really enjoy doing a lot, but I didn't necessarily want to make a career of it. So I passed on that, and then my dad has always been at this refinery, so I was like, well, I'll just go and do that. And I enjoyed it for a little while when I was there, but after a few years and working all these long hours and things like that, it just kind of wore on me. And then, you know, long story short, you know, I used to go through where all the IT guys were and stuff like that and see what kind of jobs they were doing. And you know, I'd always been interested in things like that. I got to see server rooms and kind of get educated on their job. I would ask them questions. And basically, one day I just thought, this is what I want to do with my life now. And that was it. I just decided that I was going to leave this high-paying job and I was going to go do something I felt was going to make me happier in the long run.
So what kind of refinery was it that you worked on? Because I think refinery, I think beer. Am I wrong?
It was like a Marathon oil. So
it's oil. Yeah, close.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So like a Marathon Petroleum is where I worked at.
Wow. So you actually were making oil, and you were a volunteer firefighter before that?
Yeah, I started firefighting when I was 16.
Wow. Holy shit. Jesus.
My dad is also a firefighter.
Sorry, I don't know. OCD, I don't know anything. So OCD in the chat room is educating me to this and that. And we have Guy Rader in the chat room as well, saying his mom is in Lewis County, so he knows Ashland.
I'm aware of that area.
Yeah. You have other fans in the chat room as well. So you went and you decided that you wanted to go into IT because you enjoyed computers and you learned a lot being a firefighter over the years. What makes you and this doesn't have to be a long answer because I want to sort of get to the topic at hand, but what made you want to be a firefighter in the first place? What did it bring to the table for you in four words or less? I'm joking, just keep going. I'm sorry.
Well, my dad does it, so I was always around that stuff. My dad's actually a captain.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
So I've always been around all the firefighting stuff, and I just thought, like, you know, that kind of stuff was cool. Fire trucks and fires, and like, man, you know, that'd be such an adrenaline. And like the cliche answer is, I like to help people, and that really is the truth. Like, you have to have a passion for, you know, your regular person and want to help. I mean, because, you know, volunteer is exactly like it sounds. We get paid, but we don't get paid much. So you have to have a passion and want to help people to do it. So
I guess, like, let's getting to the topic at hand, and I do stream this for a chat room as well, so they will comment from time to time. I'll read some of those. Is hopefully the audio is good and it sounds good, so let me know if we're no good on this thing. So I guess the question for us today is, what is the I heard like a giant fucking horn outside. Holy shit. I was like, there's a train that goes out like right behind me over and over and over. So you're still there, right, Josh? You can hear me?
I'm here. Yes, I was the horn. Actually, I was.
You were the horn. I figured you were. You're the horniest guy I know.
Yeah, you
So-
guys know a lot about each
very
other.
well played, sir.
I know.
Well
I
played,
try.
sir.
I try.
I'm
So-
so ASMR'd right now.
Yeah. If you
yeah.
were watching the Twitch stream, you've already swiped left or right or whichever fucking way means you're horny. I don't know which one.
That would be swipe right.
Yeah, for me, I
swipe left
I
means-
swipe up. You know, I swipe up. I'm like, just fly to heaven, go away, fuck out of here.
Yeah, that means you close the app.
Yeah,
which is
basically.
kind of
Yeah.
poetic.
It's, I just want nothing to do with anyone that even looks like you, breathes like you, is the gender you are.
Yeah.
You know.
So I want to cancel my subscription. I don't even want to be.
I seriously, if I had to use one of those apps, it would be Binder, because every time I get in one of those relationships, I'm in a bind and I just want out. So, no, that's not true at all. I'm just making that bullshit up. So, I will move the topic over. So, we have three very different. Now, me and Josh are actually pretty similar, and that's kind of why we're friends in that way. But all of us, I think, see the world in the same way. We're all like wanting to help other people one way or the other. Like sharing what we do, sort of enlightening them, expressing ourselves, making them laugh, you know, getting their cat to stop burning. Whatever the thing is that's the fucking problem, we want to solve that shit. You know what I'm saying? Or making our pecs bigger in the gym. That was a big part of your definition before, so I figured let's go to that. So the question really is, you know, what the fuck is happiness? Like I think it's a stupid concept. I really do. But I think no matter how much of a stupid concept I think it is, I feel like it's something I'll still continuously chase. You know what I mean? At some point in the day, I'll be like, oh, am I happy today? Was it a fucking happy morning? You know, am I happy with my career? Am I happy with my social life? And I think that it's like this weird checklist of like bullshit that I'm trying to achieve at all times. So I think the conversation today is, what the fuck is this thing, and why do we chase it, and what does it mean to you? And we'll start with Mr. Joshua Butler, and feel free to interject at any time. We may bring in another guest at some point into this stream to liven my really dull personality up, because I'm super dull, so forgive me for being. I'm just not happy until I make fun of myself, apparently.
This is burning cats. I'm still my image of burning cats.
Yeah, it's whatever.
So,
it's impressive.
But I'll get over that.
It's what a smell. What a smell. It's like weed mixed with potpourri and a little bit of steak.
Yeah, and with a lot of fur flying, I would imagine.
Yeah. As long as you don't have bad allergies, it's okay. I mean, Redneck would know more than us.
Yeah.
He's the one that dealt with the actual burning cats.
Yeah.
When you say Red? Red?
Yeah,
No?
people definitely make those jokes, and I will tell you that I have, and I'm not kidding, gotten a fire call for a cat stuck in the tree. That does happen.
Oh, that does happen? What was it, a burning bush? Where did we go with religion on it?
The tree was not on fire, but a cat was definitely in it.
Yeah, was it a red cat at least? Was it a red cat?
So I can't believe I'm calling you Redneck. But
no, please do. He enjoys it. That's his brand. Listen, Joshua Butler, who corrected me before the stream, because he's Joshua, he's not Josh, right? Everybody has a thing, and his thing is he's a fucking redneck. So let him redneck away.
Great. Okay, redneck. Okay, so redneck.
Redneck, yes.
I'm interested to hear like this cliche, because like the cliche about firefighters is that you save cats from trees, but that is actually a thing.
Yeah, it happens, right?
It has most definitely happened more than once. Yes.
But did you?
Is there any other like institution or civil service we should be calling to get our cats out of trees than the fire department? Is there someone else that you would rather us call?
Yeah. Do you prefer 311, 411, or 911 for the cat in the tree?
There's also a 611, so
is it really?
We could add that.
Yeah, that's only Los Angeles. That's just so you guys can call and complain about traffic.
That's the number that they tell you to call when you're not really having a real emergency, to try to get people from, stop calling people from 911. It's kind of crazy. So anyway,
right.
But I'm curious. Like, no. But Redneck, like, what else? Like, who else is supposed to save cats from trees? Why is it the fire department that's supposed to save cats from trees?
And why are they saving them from the trees and killing them in the shelters? I don't understand.
Well, one question at a time.
How do we know? How do we know that the fucking cat in the tree is not a cat that was escaped from the shelter, and you're actually going against your own government by saving the cat from the tree? How do we know?
Okay. You've gone political on this, but I'm just trying to get
I didn't say. Wait. I didn't say. Hold on. Wait. I didn't say there was a wall in front of that fucking tree. There was no wall.
I mean, we're gonna get
and the dogs paid for it.
Where they're detaining illegal
cats. Detention. Cat detention is real. Cat detention is real.
Can cats come over the border legally? I don't even know. Can they come over the border?
I don't. But if they do, let me tell you something. Those cats are rapists. They have diseases.
They are, yeah. No, I mean, in Trump's America, everything that comes over the border is rapist. But
And,
no,
and
but,
you,
in terms
and,
of,
but you know what?
cats,
And right before they rape you, you know what they say? Meow.
What? Meow? I don't
Meow.
know.
Redneck would know more about this. Redneck was a firefighter.
No,
Tell us the story of the rapist cat.
Let's circle back.
Redneck,
to
come back.
My question.
Tell us.
I have a real question
circle it back.
about why the
asshole.
fire department is saving cats
Come
from
on.
trees. I don't know why fire department is saving cats from trees.
Yes, why?
No,
figure this
we're not even necessarily saving the cats. We're just getting them the fuck out of the tree.
Oh, you're protecting the tree. He's protecting the fucking tree. Oh, I get it now.
They aren't in any trouble. They put themselves
I
up
get it.
there.
I get it.
It's like we basically got to get on a ladder and say, "Hey, come down now."
And does he listen?
It
It scratches and bites. Have you ever tried? Let me just ask you this: throwing catnip at the fucking tree and seeing if it just flips out and jumps.
That is not anything I've ever tried.
Oh, you have just
We
you guys
usually just take the
you guys in
ladder.
Kentucky are a few years behind us. We fucking tree bomb it with catnip.
Well, that's because we don't have the big ladders. I think that the reason the fire department gets called is because people think that fire departments have big ladders, and they don't know anyone else in the public service arena that has big ladders. I mean, is that a wrong assumption?
I think it's correct. I mean, because dispatch really makes the call on that. Like, they call 911 and they say that their cat's in a tree, and they call the fire department.
I'd like to take this.
Wow.
I'd like to take this moment to go to the chat room, and the CJ Funk says, "Throw a pit bull up in the tree. That cat's coming down. Boom dang." I don't think I did it with the flavor that he would have said it with, because it sounds like he went boom dang or some shit like that. But
I think the CJ Funk is onto something. I think that there needs to be other people other than the fire department who's get the task to take cats down from trees, and I think a pit bull in a tree is an effective method.
You know what?
And catnip as well. I think these are all good suggestions that prevent our fire department from being derailed from their initial calling.
I agree with you, Josh. I agree with you, Joshua. Forgive me. But I just want to mention.
Call me Josh. Just don't Google me as Josh. It's a Google search.
Just
nonsense.
Google maybe. I just want to say that the CJ
Google
Funk.
me maybe. Yeah, exactly,
I'd like to go to CJ Funk. Sounds like a venereal disease you get by sleeping with CJ. It's terrible. Sorry, CJ. I don't mean to insult you. It just went through my brain. I love you.
That's
my loyal viewer.
Interpretation of
I'm just saying,
that's
CJ Funk. But it also sounds like a guy that would have toured with Rick James in the 70s. CJ Funk. Or
George Clinton, really.
Or George Clinton, right? Or a wrestler that hangs out with CM Punk. Like, that could be CM Punk's brother. No?
It could. There you go. It could be. Yeah.
Am I insulting your friend Redneck? I'm not. I don't mean to, dude. I say dumb shit. You feel free. Take shots, please. I'm sorry.
Oh no, not offending me at all.
Okay, good.
Speaking of wrestlers, you know who somebody who I genuinely also feel has figured out happiness.
Who is that? Who has figured out happiness? I haven't figured it out.
I think that Ric Flair has figured out happiness. Do we remember Ric Flair? Does anybody remember?
Come on, does remember Mick Flair? Mick Rare? that sounds like Mick Rare is the new thing you get at McDonald's. It's the Mick Rare. It's not cooked.
Anybody before 2000, but I think Ric Flair, who by the way everyone knows, came up with the term styling and profiling, which is an amazing phrase that needs to be used more often. But no, it's funny. Ric Flair, I've been watching his videos lately, and they are very inspiring, and they're very happiness inducing. So just in terms of the wrestler situation.
So 100%. He is one of the happiest guys I've ever known. How can you not love a guy that refers to his penis as Space Mountain?
Exactly, right? You know I mean, isn't that that's amazing, right?
When it comes to this, the first time I met Redneck Rebel, right, he knows what I'm going to talk about. We were playing a game together, and immediately about 20 minutes of dialogue about his girthy penis was spent, and he could not stop describing the girth. Right? Like, he's like the two words that rhyme, the girth and the earth, and they're about the same size in diameter. And he just kept going and going and going. So to this day, I think about his girthy penis. But I don't think about it in a weird way. Not in a way that I would get CJ Funk all over it, but like, platonically nice.
By the way,
you're leaving out some context there, man.
Just have a bath.
Context. Who needs context?
Yes. Okay.
You gotta have some context. I didn't say that like just out of the blue. I was drunk when I said that.
Yeah, okay.
I feel like I say that a lot in my
life. Let me ask you this.
Drunk when I said
but let me ask you this. I'm gonna ask you to this camera over here. Let me ask you this. If you crash a car and you're drinking, right? Aren't you responsible for crashing that car?
Oh my. Okay. All right. You win.
Okay,
we'll move
done.
on.
Done. Okay. Yeah. So I was drunk when I did that. That doesn't work in court, nor in Jeskidding show, podcast thing, or whatever the fuck this is. And by the way, quick break. Jack, thank you for the Twitch Prime, my dude. I appreciate you, bro. So anyway, where were we, my dudes? Let's talk about happiness, because that's what we're here for. We're here to tell people about what the fuck is happiness. And thank you as well, Mr. Star, for the follow. What is happiness? What does it mean? How do we achieve it? How can I start getting better? So let's talk about it in the sense of career. Because most people, I'd say almost all, right? But we'll say most for the argument's sake. Most people don't have the exact career that they want. And even when they have it, they get on television and like, oh yes, this is whatever, I'm just so lucky. But they really want something more sometimes. If you really were to quiz them, because I think we're the kind of, by nature, we're people that aspire to not save one cat from a tree, but fucking many cats. So how do you guys respond to sort of like your way you deal with your careers? Without making it too serious, because I'm just going to interrupt you with some dumb shit, because that's what I do. How do you face sort of trying to feel like good about what you want to do with your life as far as careers? And I don't need your life story, but just give me the quick version of it. That was a lot of weight I just put on you.
So who are you addressing in this question?
Yeah, I think it's open field. What about your career makes you happy? What do you want to do? What do you want to do that you think that will make you happy? Oh, look, Guy Raider. Hold on. Guy Raider from the chat room said, work is its own reward. And I think he's fucking with us.
I will jump in on this because first of all, I want to say I love the people that spend their lives teaching America. I think teachers are amazing, and I think they get so underpaid, so unappreciated, and it's disgusting because they should be getting doctors, lawyers, salaries. Agreed. I mean, we should be giving them more money than 90% of the professions that allow people to buy.
They should be the real celebrities of our country. Amen.
Yeah. I mean, all teachers should
non-religious.
All teachers should afford to buy country club memberships. In my opinion, so they don't, sadly. But I actually, that said, I blame a lot of my second grade, third grade, fourth grade teachers for encouraging, childhood dreams and fantasies, because we think, it's like, you can be an astronaut, you can be a president, you can be a movie director, you can be, and it's like, I had this idea of being a movie director at 8 years old, and no one talked me out of it. Like, no one said, get a real job, go do something.
Work in a refinery, become a firefighter.
Save lives.
Who this fucking guy?
Trees.
Yeah,
go
Tree Cat Man.
Go get cats.
Catmandu.
And save them. Catmandu. Yeah, no. So I don't know. I think a lot of our so-called happiness comes from what we believed in childhood we could achieve in life, and then we're always measuring what we've done to like this fantasy that's fueled in us, I think, as kids. I don't know. That's part of my theory.
You think it's a poison, a job-based happiness that's been poisoned into you as a small child, so that later you can deeply regret the poison that was injected into you that you thought was actual medicine. Something like.
Well, if the poison injected into you is go to medical school and be a doctor,
that's good poison.
You actually enjoy doing that. Not a lot of people do. They always want to rebel against that. But let's say you genuinely enjoy medicine and you become a doctor. That's a really good thing. You're saving people. You're making a lot of money in the society, which rewards doctors and not teachers, unfortunately. But but like it's like that's something to encourage. If my second grade teacher had said, no, don't be a movie director, be a doctor. And then I thought, oh, that's interesting. I may, in fact, have become a doctor because I didn't do too badly at school, and I could have theoretically done medical school had I had an iota of interest in it, but I didn't.
Let me tell you a quick story of what happened to me in fucking first grade. And I've never told this story publicly. So there was this teacher.
This is a Jeskidding exclusive, ladies and gentlemen.
Jeskidding exclusive. This is
probably have like a
motherfuckers.
Get one of those. Maybe one of your your listeners / watchers can actually like send in a Jeskidding jingle, because I think you need
a jingle. I need a jingle. So okay. So I think OCD has heard this from me once or twice, but I'm going to tell it for you guys. I was in first grade, and they had this lady, and I want you to picture like a woman who looked like 150 fucking years old. And she must have been, at the time, 5'3", but I was like 2 feet tall, whatever I was. And Jerry, who's in the chat room too, may actually remember this woman. Her name was Mrs. Roth. Now, Mrs. Roth had more white makeup on her face than you would put on a fucking clown, like a carnival show. And she had this like weird looking, like elongated face, kind of like Beetlejuice when they pulled the faces forward. And she had this like fucking bleached black hair. And she wore these like outfits that were like plastic or skin tight or something fucking weird, where her like fupa was pushing out, and it was fucking disgusting. And she had these huge high heels, and they used to make us go up to the like see Miss Roth in the in this attic, right? And actually one of the people in the chat room may have been there for this day, but he won't remember, but I fucking remember. And one day I was in my classroom, it was second grade actually, and I said to somebody, I told him, I said, you know what I think of her? I said, she's Miss Roth, the rotten roach face. Right? So somebody must have went and told her that I said it. So she thought it was a good idea, right? That when we went up to this attic and were trapped with her fucking Skeksis-like body, that she would then have a trial and try me for my crime in front of the whole class. And she sat me up there shaking like a fucking leaf, had lawyers. I kid you not.
Lawyers?
Lawyers. Other children play lawyers to prosecute me for calling her Miss Roth, the rotten roach face. So to this day,
it was like a mock trial?
It was a mock trial for calling her Miss Roth, the rotten roach face. And to this fucking day, I am still scared of cops, the law, lawyers, everything. Because that was the poison that was put into me as a young child that has now come back to destroy my adult life. Miss Roth, the rotten roach face. Yeah. So that and...
Wonder what happened to her.
Oh, God. Like, she never died. She's like 600 years old right now.
She's just like a vampire.
Oh, my God. I think she was a vampire then.
Yeah, there's a lot of vampires.
She still lives in that fucking attic, right? And then for fifth grade... Right? I had this principal who was the meanest motherfucker alive. He was so goddamn mean. And he would like stare at me. He looked like these alcoholics that would like just like hate everybody and then give them the look for like 10 minutes. And for some reason he didn't like me. Whatever. And he was mean. Mr. Regan. And he used to look at me with these fucking eyes. Like he'd stare right into my soul. And I'd be like, why does this guy hate me so much? And I would go home to my friend Eddie's mom and be like, I don't understand why he hates me. And he used to upset me because I was like such a kid who wanted to be liked. And they eventually took him out and he became the principal, right? And then he was mean to everybody. But I always thought it was me. Nobody believed me. 20 years later, or 10 years later, no, it's 10 years later. Front page of the New York Post or Daily News, principal from hell. Front page with him and this fucking grimace coming down the street. And a whole article about what a motherfucker this guy was. And to this day, I have this article. I'm going to frame it, put it on the wall.
You were there.
I was there. I witnessed the principal from hell. So my childhood was full of hell. So a lot of the sort of things that sometimes prevent me from being happy are things that scarred me as a child emotionally. And until the internet, I could never get them out. So that's sort of...
I can't really relate to the teacher stuff because, I mean, I knew my principal really well because I was in the office all the damn time. Always in trouble. So we was real good friends, you know. I'd get sent to the office, and I'm telling you, man, when I was in high school, I was a damn hellraiser. And
I have no doubt.
Sent to the office, and he'd look at me and say, "What happened now?"
Were you the kind of kid, because your father was a firefighter, he's a captain of the firefighting team, right? And you became a firefighter, but at 8 years old, were you like a little arsonist? A little bit?
I was never one of the guys that wanted to set things on fire for no reason.
That's fair. That's fair. It had to have a good reason before you set it on fire.
Yeah, it's it never been one of the passions, and I just like putting it out. You know?
Oh yeah, you're fair enough. Yeah. You're like the make your bed as opposed to mess your bed up kind of kid.
Right, yeah.
Okay, fair enough. So back to happiness. And I'd like give a quick shout out to people in the chat room. Obviously, forgive me guys. Hello Ag and Oxy and Calamity and Zed. We're talking about happiness and Jerry and Funk and Mike and everybody. We're here talking about happiness. What makes you happy in the fucking world? We got a firefighting redneck and a filmmaker. Can I just
give a quick shout out to the CJ Funk who asked me to breathe a few minutes ago, and I think that's an excellent suggestion. So I am taking his suggestion.
Breathe, Josh.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Apparently, I get very impassioned when I have
good. Passion is good, bro. Passion is fucking good.
Yeah, but it does jeopardize my ability to breathe. So
do you know who had a lot of passion?
This.
Christ.
Yeah. Who?
I saw the movie Christ.
He did, and he got killed, and it was kind
That's
of crazy.
usually what happens when you have a lot of passion. I have a lot of passion. You have a lot of passion.
I know.
I got a lot of girth.
It's a risk.
It's a lot of girth. A lot of girth. I don't know which one to point out. Yeah, we know this. Yeah, he puts his passion into others. It's disgusting. So anyway,
because he can.
Yeah,
because
he can.
He got the girth happening, you know? Yeah.
Did you ever, when you went up to save that cat from the tree, did you actually ever smack another firefighter in the face with your girth?
It's never happened. I usually keep it pretty tight and compact.
Yep. I figured as much.
I'm trying to take a charge, man.
Yep.
You know, especially not on a fire call.
What makes you happy? Boxers or briefs?
I like briefs, man.
Okay, fair enough. I like boxer briefs. So I zig and I zag.
And I like boxers. So we have a real.
Whoa!
Like,
I'm a tiebreaker.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So back to the career thing. So Josh, you got these things instilled in you, right? So do you feel sometimes happy with your career choices? And I'm not talking about the outcome of your career, because that's debatable. But
yeah, you know, it's funny. I feel happy when I actually get to do what they didn't talk me out of doing when I was a kid. I sort of go like, sometimes I'm like, I have these out of body experiences where I'm like, I'm actually like saying action and cut and telling people where to walk and telling them what to do in terms of making, you know, their acting better and whatnot. I mean, there's things about like what I do every now and then. I get the opportunity, and I'm so grateful to the universe, because I feel like it's almost like I get to play the fantasy that I had created as a child. But then there's also so much toxicity, and there's also so much really weird energy, and then, you know, the times between jobs where you have to like work harder to get the next job because you're living a life of permanent freelance. It's like there's like a lot of weird kind of like downtime. But if you get the opportunity to do, you know, the thing, then it's kind of amazing, you know, and that's what I'm bad at, which is being in the moment. So
to get this right, you're like a porn star sex addict who only gets to really have sex once a year.
It is so funny you say that, Jess, because like I swear to God, I use that analogy. Sometimes like here's the thing. I direct a lot of television. You can look me up. It doesn't matter. Whatever. Who cares? But like I have done it to the point where I can't come home and watch TV. So like everyone asks me like, oh, have you seen, you know, this show? Have you seen Game of Thrones? Have you seen, you know, like the Crown? Have you seen House of Cards? Whatever the show is of the day, or, you know, or the new, whatever it is. I mean, and I'm like, you know what? I can take the time to watch those shows, but it feels like I'm working, because I sit there and I analyze and I break it down. And I think it's like a porn star who must, you know, be like, oh, they have sex all day for a living. They come home. Do they genuinely want to have sex at night? Do they actually? I mean, that's my question. Like, do we really like overload ourselves on good stuff and then come home and go blah? You know?
I don't know. Let me. By the way, you know why that House of Cards fell? Because the bottom card was molested.
I know. I knew you were going to go there. So yes, what are you gonna do? Get it.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah,
you know, it is what it is. I tried. So okay. So for everybody,
that was really good.
That's it's the same. Kind
oh, that's hilarious.
I mean, which I do IT now. I've been doing ever since I left the refinery. I've been doing IT for about the last 3 years. And it's like I work on computers all day, but I'm still online.
What do you study in college? What's your major?
My major is computer information systems.
So, okay, so you're
let's talk about this. I want to talk about this, Monty, because I think that this is the key. Well, this is one of the keys to happiness, and I'm going to give it to the chat room here. I don't know. I think that this is my discovery recently. There's several things that I consider to be happiness, right? And I've read this before, is release from pain, right? And that's like a common thing. It's like you got to take a piss. Your fucking bladder's going to explode, right? And then you finally get to pee, and it is like the most pleasurable thing you'll ever do. So it's like the release from something that's oppressing you. It's the shift. It's the relative shift. So that's number one. That's the first thing that can make you happy. But my other thing, one of the happiest things, and I want to go more into this topic too, but my second thing, and I just got a logo sent to me from for the show, by the way. We'll see. I'll show you in a little bit. But the other second thing that I think makes people potentially happy, or at least me, is that moment of potential. Meaning that like you have your kid, right? And you're looking at your kid, and your kid is like my kid's gonna be the fucking president or so great. And this is before your kid is a fucking heroin addict. You know what I'm saying? This is when your kid is like greatest thing ever.
Dude, heroin is so last century.
Sorry, forgive
opioid
me. Yeah, let's go to the real shit. So you can see my logo in the corner there. It's actually behind me. It says this is a logo, Jeskidding. It's ridiculous. It's got a button on it. We'll go to that in a second. So, but it's the potential for something. So you're in that moment, Redneck, in your life. You're in college. You've done some stuff, and you have a career in front of you. So there's no like, I almost fell. You're almost at the point, you're not at the point of disillusionment, which fucks up the potential, that feeling of potential. Like when I'm doing a project, my favorite moment in the project is like when a bunch of us or people in this chat room or whatever, we're figuring out the next idea that's going to take over the world, right? And when you come up with that thing, you're like, holy shit, I feel like a genius. This is going to be great. And it's that feeling of, man, we're doing something, or we're about to do something. It's like the Fellowship of the Rings, the One Ring, right? Right before they take off. Before fucking Gollum is like talking to himself and, the fat guy's eating all the shit or whatever. It's that moment before, right? That's like, ooh, they're going to go on a fucking journey. This is amazing. The journey itself sometimes isn't as happy because it dispels all of that feeling of potential. And I try not to knock it. And then you meet that 23-year-old kid who just got out of college and he has no disillusionment and he clashes hard with everybody else because he's like, no, you're all idiots. And those idiots are fucking like, no, we're just dealing with the bullshit from day to day. And that's where that clash happens because his sense of what could be collides with what is. And so the what is, I'm not saying the what is that can't be happy. But so in some ways, Josh, I think you have something good in the way of like when you get that opportunity that you can step into it, direct these things. And for the record, for people in the chat room, Josh directs, in addition to films, major TV shows, like stuff you've seen with major TV stars. So that moment of going in there and then you pull away, but at least you have that sort of like feeling where you can tap into it and come out. You may not feel that way, I don't know, if you were doing it all the time. And I know,
kind of think
ahead,
even just put in my 2 cents here, like on the whole, like, what is happiness as far as like a career is concerned.
Right.
I feel like Josh kind of had a depressing view on that. It was like, teachers do play it up, but I mean, this is like a place where, you can go to college and do what you want. I mean, all careers are different.
Right.
But I think it's important for people as they're growing up to work these, other jobs and kind of get some perspective for themselves because, that's what it did for me. It was like, I think you can be genuinely happy in your career. I mean, look at like, just like you guys, doing the filmmaking and the TV, it's like you saw yourself doing this all your life and it's the passion that drives you. And I would imagine that's probably a very competitive career.
Well, it's not that it's competitive, and we'll talk about it for 2 seconds because I don't want this. We'll do another full episode on what's wrong with entertainment. There's a lot to say, and there's a lot to say without bashing in certain individuals. I may do some of that, but there's a lot to say about how broken and disturbing it is. But you had a point there and I missed it and I fucked it up. So please backtrack for a second.
No, I think Redneck is onto something. And I think what I'd love to hear, like what is it that makes you passionate and happy, I guess, in terms of keeping it, thematic about IT? Like, what is it that you got excited about?
Because we're miserable artists. So tell us.
I've always just had like an interest in technology. I think like the way computers work and amongst other things, I think are just interesting. And it really depends on like, what do you want out of your life? Do you want to enjoy yourself or do you want to make money? Sometimes you can do both.
Right. Well, that's like the dream, right? Yeah. That's why we go into the arts, but yes.
Well, some people say, well, I don't give a shit as long as my job pays this and I don't give a shit how bad it is. Some people really don't care. But, for me, it was like, which in the end, I'm going to be making, more money than what I was making just entry level there.
Right.
But it was like I took a pay cut to come be like a student worker to do something that I love. And I mean, like I lost almost double what I was making there, but I'm much happier now because that's what matters to me is that after you go after you get up at 5 in the morning every day and you laying in your bed and you're saying, "Oh man, like I just don't want to go to work today," like it sucks the life out of you. It's just like feeling that way every day is just not the way to live. You want to wake up and be ready to attack the day and get your goals, because goals are what keeps men alive, man.
Well,
like,
if you take somebody like Josh and me, right? Josh and I, Miss Roth did a horrible job teaching me. If you take Josh and I,
well,
right?
actually, Josh and me is actually like more appropriate from a social perspective. Josh and I is more appropriate from a grammar perspective. But
that's fair. And it sounds like me and my dog or something. Josh and me, right?
Yeah, but like if the people don't like use it in real life talk, it's sort of stupid.
It fails. I agree with this completely. This is a good point.
Yeah,
but I feel like I feel like the goal for a lot of artists, right? And I'm not talking about the masturbatory ones or the people who are just in it for the fucking fame and all that, because you sniff those out, and some of them are successful, and we hate them for it. I'm talking about the ones that this is their calling. This is what makes them happy. What makes them happy is expressing a part of themselves. It's like therapy in a weird way. And doing it with a high level of craft and having people enjoy it and maybe gain some insight from it. So it's like it calls us, but it's such a tricky, slippery slope, because it's not that it's just competitive. It's just that it draws a lot of those other people that I described. So it's a sick industry, the industry that we enter into. Plus it's competitive. So you get that, like, and I know that there are other industries that's sick, but until you work in entertainment, you really never really truly understand the level of ego and nonsense that artists have to deal with to get what they need out of this world. If you've got a guy who can basically rape people for 30 years and have no consequences until an entire movement gets him, and that actually was two different men. We don't have to say it on here. It shows that we enter into a system that's harmful to us, but we do it because we're so passionate about trying to find that thing that you said, which is you enjoy it. You want to do something that helps something or makes you feel productive, but we're sort of trapped to our inability to not be normal. It's not the right word, but being expressionless. That's not fair either. But you know what I'm saying? One is not as creatively expressive. So that for us, it's a little bit of a mind fuck. So anyway, go ahead. Sorry, I don't mean to go on.
Yeah, that's totally true. Yeah,
it's really tough because we want to. I would love to listen. I worked in a Japanese bank. I dropped out of high school as a fuck up. I did get my master's degree, if you're out there. And I went to the best high school in the country, and I was a smart kid. But everything got fucked up for me, and I was sitting at this. I got a job at a Japanese corporate bank, and at that corporate bank, we lent the money for Terminator 2 to get made. I kid you not. And they were asking me, is it going to do well? And I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, because I love Terminator. And and then after it came out, I was writing Terminator 3 at my desk. Like that's what I would do, and making my own fan letter of my own bullshit using the copy machine. And I realized that one of these things was not like the other. And I met so many people in my lifetime that went the other route when they made a lot of money. And they went and they pursued it. They said, I'm going to make a lot of money, and I'm just going to focus on it, and then I'm going to have a family, and then my family's going to be my priority, and I'm just going to provide. And I see nothing wrong with this. I'm not judging it. But those people, you ask them 30 years later, they admire us. We admire them, teachers and people who give and have stable lives, because the grass is greener. For us, that's happiness. Somebody who's just theoretically giving back to the world. For them, we're happiness because we're people who are expressing ourselves for a living. And I think that the goal for happiness it's somewhere in between, you know what I mean? Or it's individual, like so I had listed two things for happiness before. I said release from pain, right, is one for me. I can only speak for myself. The second one was the joy of potential, right? I guess there's also the joy of camaraderie, which is kind of in there too. I feel like I'm masturbating my fingers on screen. That's really weird.
I think happiness too is.
Wait, there's a three.
Really kind of what drives you.
That's true. That's true. But there's a third thing I just want to before I forget. And then of course the age old the little things, right? So happiness is having a moment with some friends, waking up. I had a happy thing today, right? I mean, I woke up and I got this fucking thing from I was actually talking to Redneck Rebel when I did this. I went to a coffee shop, which is like a real sort of like artsy type coffee shop, but it was Asian, which is unusual in New York to have both of those things combined. And they had a Jing something. I don't know if Jerry's around. He's Asian. Help me, Jerry, you Asian person, right? Because he's actually Chinese. And it was like Jing Bang, or I'm not trying to be racist. It's just kind of what it sounded like, bro. Thank you for that. It was not ginseng. It was, there we go. It was John Bing. And it was like bacon, cheese, and like a flour cooked with the egg in it. I never had anything like it. It was fucking delicious, right? And I got that, I got this coffee.
Lucy Diva might be onto it.
Maybe she got it, right? But it made me happy. This little thing made me happy. And so I try to really, throughout my day, if possible, focus on those little things. Because I really believe that all career stuff, all of this is transitory. I really believe that if you get what you want out of this world, I don't think that there's happiness in that. And yet it's like one of those things, I know it, and yet I still can't stop chasing it. Like I'm doing it right now by broadcasting the world with the hope that my Twitch stream or my podcast or whatever the fuck I'm doing currently takes off. So I'm still chasing this thing that I know doesn't have happiness at the end. So it comes back to what somebody said before. I think it was CJ Funk from the chat room. Or Guy Raider. It's the journey. Like it's the journey to get there that matters.
CJ Funk, by the way, is like Funk? He's got, he hit it right down the middle, because he's saying people don't live in the now enough. They dwell on the past or keep dreaming about the future. So I think that, and we talk about Buddhism, we talk about Zen, we talk about, all the new age stuff in Hollywood is all about like, you are not your brain. Your brain is telling you, about the past. It's you're replaying your childhood, or you're constantly, all fears and worries are stupid, because essentially we're like talking ourselves out of actually living in the moment and being present. So like happiness presumably is finding the ability to just be there in the moment, in which case like dwelling on the future itself, just the idea of that apparently is not necessarily a definition of happiness, because we're looking ahead. We're not living in the now. So
living in the now, I think is very important. I just want to jump to the chat room real quick for two quick comments. From Yuki Ohana says, joy is in the small things. Agreed, right? But also from Genetic, who said, from a nihilistic perspective, nothing really matters. Everyone is going to die and everyone is replaceable. But that made me happy. I don't know why that made me so happy, because it made me feel like I'm not such a fuck up. That's why. Because if I die, it's all erased. It's all even. The debts are cleared.
By the way, I love that the happiness discussion has turned to ramen in the chat room.
I love ramen. You like ramen. You love ramen. See? They're making you happy.
When I eat ramen, I am genuinely happy, and I feel like I'm in the moment. Like I genuinely forget about the rest of the world when I have a good bowl of ramen. That may in fact be the key to happiness. Maybe that's.
I think that even shows just from the reflections of like the chat room, is that happiness is just perspective. Like
right.
People are fulfilled in different ways, right? Like some people, want fulfillment out of their career. They want, fulfillment, just anywhere else.
So it's individually based. So if a certain guy, maybe somebody talking to me now, maybe not, stuck his girthy penis in a bowl of ramen, would that make him happy? I would like to know.
Joshua, you're weird as fuck, man. I don't know why you do that.
Joshua Butler, film and TV director, weird as fuck. Stay tuned. All right, so Guy Raider said, it is mandatory to study 1 hour Buddhism for every 3 months of living in LA. Is this true, Joshua? Is this true?
Well, there are a lot of people who actually charge a lot of money, and I won't name names, but I've actually been to a couple of them who basically reframe Buddhism in some kind of like Hollywood-friendly way to try to appeal to us who want to pay for the secret to happiness. And so it's a good industry out here to actually charge Hollywood types to go in and try to figure out what happiness is. It's maybe I should really get into that industry, because it seems to be pretty lucrative for several people.
Why does?
Yeah, no, I get what he's saying. It's true, but I think Buddhism is often perverted and kind of like
of course it's perverted. It's got a fucking defined. It's got a naked fat guy, dumb
ass Western people who. Like Donald Trump as president. Like, who the fuck are we to even talk about like Eastern philosophy? We're just so like dumb on so many levels that we need to.
It's funny because just the mention of Donald Trump just a mention of him does it. It's not that what I feel about this person or having a political discussion. It creates an uneasy feeling in me, not for the man, but for the discussion it may bring out of people and having to have a fucking talk from two opposing sides of you that hate each other in a conflict. Some people enjoy conflict. Some people get happiness out of conflict. I don't.
I don't mean to offend the Trump supporters.
No. I'm not. Listen.
Them.
No,
I'm
don't.
just talking about the level of discourse. I'm just talking about. Look, even if you believe that Trump's politics are awesome, I mean, like, in terms of the level of discourse, like, our government is shut down, and I don't want to get political, but our government is shut down because the dude had a temper tantrum about he can't build his wall because he's like a builder, and he wants to, like, even after his presidency, he just wants to walk around and go, oh, hey, yeah, I didn't do that much, but look at this beautiful structure I built, because that seems to be, what gets him off, in terms of, like, I built this big building, and oh, poor guy, I didn't get to build one in Moscow, too bad. That's too bad. It got conflicted with the election shit. So, but that's anyway. So that's what makes Donald Trump happy, is standing in front of a big building that he feels like he built.
It might. I like it. So it's but back to happiness, right? So I don't know what makes him happy. I wish I could send him a fucking box of cookies to get an actual genuine smile out of that man. Nothing would make me happier than to, I don't think he'd like my little podcast show thing here, but nothing would make me happier than to see that man happy. Because if that man happy, it's like, you talk about happy wife, happy life. Well, just happy Donald and happy fucking Ronald McDonald. I don't know where I'm going with that, but you get the fucking point. Is that that guy just seems kind of unhappy, and so
I agree. And look, like, forget politics, but like Obama, whatever you thought of him, like the man looked like he was having a great time. He played basketball shirtless. Right. He had an amazing life. He loved his kids. He had a great dog.
But politics aside, I want to park that and just say, like, but talking about here's a guy, right, without him specifically, that according to America, by our standard, should be the happiest guy in the fucking universe. He has everything. He's got a legacy.
Right, he's the president of the fucking United States, the leader of the free world. Yeah,
he's got everything. It's like, so why is that guy so unhappy? When I was 19, I worked as a doorman for 6 summers, and I worked for billionaires. And for the most part, these are the most unhappy people I've ever seen. And
yes, I know.
I'm like, yeah, bro, you got the B. You got the B. You got billions. How are you so fucking unhappy? And, like, it doesn't give you anything. It doesn't do anything for you. So it's like we chase it because we're told if we win this game, we're going to be happier. But
but this is like the classic question that you hear, like, from everyone, like from the Book of Happiness or the Book of Questions to the book to Cards Against Humanity, whatever. Like, everyone's asking a question: does money buy happiness? Right. On my OkCupid profile, it's like that. It's like a thing that's supposed to determine whether you're a match with somebody. So like I guess that might be a question to ask. I mean, does money buy happiness?
I'll give you a perfect example of what happiness should be in a scenario, because I think, and I do agree with Puppies before. He said long-term happiness is called, in this chat room, 89 puppies, because he didn't like all the cats, right? Said long-term happiness is called contentment.
That's a lot of puppies, though.
You're interrupting his moment, bro. His moment. Now I'd have to scroll up in the chat room, asshole. Hold up.
I'm sorry.
Puppy said
89 long-term puppies is a lot of puppies. I'm just saying
a lot.
It's a big pen of puppies, a pound of puppies.
He was like, I got 99 puppies, but a bitch ain't one, or something. I didn't know where the song was going. He said long-term happiness is called contentment. Happiness is finite. I agree with that completely. But I had some point to this that I totally lost in talking about puppies. By
the way, I think Yukio Hana maybe just like
from the chat room. Yukio, so I'll read it if you don't, unless you'd like to.
No. I think she just like made our discussion irrelevant. Just
okay.
FYI.
Yukio Hana from the chat room, and then we'll get to Calamity Jane in a second. There's a lot of text in this chat room that we have a chat room running here concurrently with this podcast / show or whatever the fuck we're doing here. Said, my father taught me you can never have it all. There was always something missing because we humans aspire for perfection, whether we intend it or not. So just enjoy the journey to your goal, and at the end, happiness is a journey, not a destination. Absolutely. And we all kind of know this, right? But I tell you, like, I had a friend, and I've talked about this recently, and shout out to him if he's out there, and he put a post on Facebook that really just bothered me for his sake. And he said, I've had the best year ever financially, but the worst year ever by far. And he's a star of YouTube and all that stuff. And, I know last year somebody broke into his house to kill him and his girlfriend. Like because of his success, and there was jealousy or whatever this issue was. And it really just shows, man, that not all those destinations contain what you think they're going to contain. They have some of those moments.
Also think not all the journeys contain what you think.
Yeah, I agree with that too. So when you say life is about the fucking journey, some of the journey up those trees to get those hats.
If someone breaks into your fucking house, during the journey and tries to kill you, then
that's not
the journey ain't so great.
No, but it really shows that. But this is very interesting. So that comment of, and I feel, by the way, I just want to say for him's sake, right? That's not fair. Look, I get it. Life isn't fair, and that's always, well, life's not fair, right? But we all go under the assumption in the pursuit of happiness that life is somewhat fair, that we're not going to be put on trial by Mrs. Roth, fucking thing, that we're going to have an opportunity, that we're not going to have these poisonous bullshit put into us as a child. So, but life isn't fair, and that's hard because I think that we all sort of want to believe it is. We want to believe in the better things. We want to believe in meritocracy. We want to believe that all things are equal, that something awful won't just happen to you if you work hard or you try or you're a good person. And we all know that really good people sometimes suffer the most because they choose to be good against all odds. You know what I'm saying?
Because the people with morals, sometimes do get left behind, unfortunately. Right. And because there are a lot of people out in this world that'll step on anyone they have to get to the top.
Right. And
it's just reality.
And it looks like the perception is that they're doing great. And if in the social media world, it's like put all over fucking Instagram, and it's like, oh my God, look at my life. Look at my life. If you just had my life, you'd be so happy. And you spend 10 minutes with them outside of that, they're just some fucking idiot holding their phone in the corner. Alone. That shit sucks. I want to be the guy at the deli laughing with the people who work there. That's what I want. But I get fooled, just like everybody else, by watching these fucking jackasses, jerk each other off on pictures. I don't know if I really mean jerk each other off, but it could be. Sells in some places. Yeah.
Well, I honestly, I think 89 Puppies, I think has also nailed it as well. I think between Yukio Hana and 89 Puppies, I may just go home. I mean, this is just like they pretty much got it nailed. Right. Because I think 89 Puppies, I don't know if you see that comment, Jess, but that's kind of like it as well.
I'll read it. So 89
about ecstasy. No, because I honestly, I have taken ecstasy once.
Once, and it was, really? Tell us.
Yeah, I know, because I didn't want it to be, it was the best experience of my life.
Did you grind your teeth all night? Did you grind your teeth?
No.
Sorry, that's what I knew somebody took it once and they came home and they were like,
read 89 Puppies' comment. It's exactly how I feel about happiness. Yeah.
So 89 Puppies said, happiness is like the drug ecstasy without the side effects. It's great while you're high and you want to keep having it, but once you lack it, you feel empty and will crave a higher dose for more. Contentment is being satisfied with your current state or strive for a better one that is realistic to the extent that you can have more but don't need more. And then he put a little funny drawing of a fucking guy because he's from the internet, and that's what he does.
I would like to say something about that, because I think that my perspective of what happiness and contentment is maybe a little different. I think like when you're content, it's like you're saying like, yeah, this is all right, I guess. Like I can deal with this.
Right.
Like it's almost like you're settling. But I think being truly happy is like, for me personally, it's like I always have a goal. I'm always working towards something all the time. Like it's either my fitness or my firefighting or my career. I'm always, those are just the main, but there's always things that I work towards. And that's why I said earlier that I think goals keep men alive, men and women both.
Right.
It's like as long as you
don't
have
assume
a goal,
my gender. Sorry.
Right. As long as you have a goal and you're always working towards something, you'll always be happy because
I agree.
Like you can. What do you want out of life? And there's so many things that you can do in your life if you just get up and do that. And I know that's like kind of like a cliche thing, but like, there's nothing you can't do in this life, and you can't be happy all the time. I'm not saying that as you're chasing a goal, you're always going to be happy. Things are going to suck and go wrong, and so there's going to be nights where you wonder why. But like, I think being content, like I said, just to further elaborate, is like maybe it's kind of like I'll settle for this. It's okay. But happiness is like, I'm achieving my goals and I love what I'm doing with my life.
I agree with this
completely. That's just a perspective.
But I agree with it. I think it goes back to my number two. Self-importance makes me happy. My number two is actually, it doesn't really. My number two is more like the potential for things, which is the same thing as striving for things, right? It's the same exact emotion. It's like I'm constantly sort of pushing to go forward. I'm constantly sort of trying to go forward. For me, that's built in. I just want to achieve. I'm in the state of mind. I'm like, okay, this happened. What do I do about it? This happened. What do I do about it? And one of these podcast shows or whatever the fuck this is, I'll keep saying that. I will talk about the things that I've had to go through to achieve what I want to achieve and the things that have happened and the things that I've done about it that I'm very proud of, but still saddened by the things that occurred and still saddened by the things that stand in my way. But I think a methodology is sort of what keeps me going. Like, and the feeling of like, I think that we all have our lenses, right? We all look for, I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but I look at things from inside out. I try to look at them from my past forward. I try to look at them from my forward past. I try to look at them from the outside world looking in at me, and sort of like how I focus on myself from which perspective will change how I feel about those very particular emotions. Like, I definitely agree with being present. I think being present and from the inside out is the most important, but I think that sort of doesn't allow you to really participate in the rest of the world from an outside in perspective. That's very philosophical. So sorry.
I do want to, because I see some things in the chat, like,
sorry, go ahead. Call them
maybe
out.
I can be a little bit more clear.
Like, yeah.
Because, like, my definition of content is just my perspective, and like nobody's really right or wrong here. Like, content to other people can be just like, Frappus King says here, is more like being satisfied in your current spot in life. So it's like you've achieved your goals and you're happy where you are. Being content totally makes sense.
Right.
Like, the way that I say it is just my perspective of it. Like, I'm just really like super goal oriented. So like, as long as I'm, working towards something, I'm happy. And just like Genetic for Mod says, don't have unrealistic expectations, unrealistic goals. Like, you can't say, I'm going to be a billionaire. It's like, well, I want to make this much first and then I'll make this much. It's like you set little goals in between.
Right.
And then you just constantly say, okay, I did this. Now I want to go one step further. I did this. I'll go one step further. It's like, I want to be a bodybuilder, but I won't be that, soon. But it's like, I wanted to lose weight, put it that way. I wanted to lose weight a long time ago. Okay, I want to lose 15 pounds. All right, I want to lose 15 more pounds. I want to lose 15 more pounds, or I want to get this lift up. I think like having small goals is what it's all about, not like I'm going to do this big extravagant thing. I think little goals in between is more of what I mean.
I'd like to talk about that for a second. So the idea of little goals and how we can trick the brain, what I think is really interesting. But first, I want to call out two things from the chat room. First, I want to call out a user named Moist Fist. Just because it's incredible. What a name. Moist Fist. I don't really know where to go with it. I don't know how your fist got moist. I don't want to know, but I think it's very interesting. And he comes in here just to call me Tony Hawk because people say I look like Tony Hawk, except I can't speak and got no money. So I figured Moist Fist, thank you for that. Or Hank Hill. I don't really know if that fits, but it sounds good to me. So Zed.
I think Hank Hill is a description of either me or Redneck. I think
it's definitely me.
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I will also give a shout out to Ice Cream. That's creamy. He said, what about me? He wanted attention, so I've given you your creamy attention, you Oh, I just played some music. I got some music going on. Why did I hit that button? I don't know.
You need a lot of jingles, dude. You really do.
I got some jingling, baby. Go ahead, baby.
Yeah.
This music is cool. All right, let's break that move for a second. All right, go back to my... Shut up. Okay. So, yeah, I programmed my little thing to do all kinds of jingles. I'm going to keep increasing production value because I'm in that sense of accomplishment, too, with Twitch and this and that. But I wanted to talk about Zed, what Zed Spec said. So Zed said, travel is a good way to find happiness for a lot of people. A couple of years ago, a buddy and I decided to travel to as many countries as we could using as little money as possible, and that was probably the happiest time of my life. Didn't care about finance, jobs, relationships, family drama. None of it mattered to me because I was meeting so many cool people, new people, seeing so many awesome places, and experiencing very interesting cultures which were so vastly different to mine. Now, I know Zed, and Zed is from South Africa, so we have a lot in common, but we have a lot of different cultural experiences. And I think that one of the ways to be happy and he's sort of spotted that out, is to see how the rest of the world lives, to experiencing things that are different from you, to fill your brain with new ideas. Like learning is a happy thing, and reframing of the lens on yourself is extremely happy. So I think it's really cool to point that out, because I think that that's definitely gets on the list of like things that will sort of, they call it like expanding your horizons. And that's why sometimes some people wait till it's too late. They wait till they're 70, 80 years old, and they're finally like, oh, I want to see the world. I finally want to see. And they're like, oh, this is amazing. And they could have carried that with them. And even if those experiences aren't like the best, like I'm playing with this thing endlessly. What the fuck is wrong with me? Fuck off. Even if those things aren't the best, at least you've sort of broadened your horizons. You've allowed yourself to be able to switch perspectives. Kind of like I can do like boom, 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 boom. It sort of gives a different tool of being able to see yourself, so that in those moments of stress, you can refocus that lens. I speak too much like a filmmaker, because I guess that's what I am. Anyway, sorry, I went on. I feel like I'm boring even myself. Please continue. So, all right, let's open up the chat room. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'll jump in on the scientific rebuttal that Yukio Hana has put into our mix. I agree that like she's talking about dopamine and the chemical reaction in our brains, and the more we have it, the more we are used to it and sensitive to it. So like the joke is, sometimes I think that human beings are just like, in this day and age, we moved beyond hunting and gathering, like the idea of like waking up in the morning and having to hunt and gather for your food, and then that's your day, and hopefully by the end of the day you've eaten something. That we've now evolved beyond that, I suppose, or like we don't have those basic primal needs anymore. Most of us.
Are we more now in the sucking and fucking age, or?
Well, I think we're now more in the sucking and fucking.
I mean, it's get sucked or get fucked.
Everything. Like, so we've somehow become like this, like all the science that's going on in our brains, all this dumb shit, like the dopamine getting flooded in our brains is now we're now like philosophizing about it on a podcast. I mean, it's like that may just be something to remember, that maybe this is just science and we're just getting stupid about it by trying to put it into some sort of a philosophical text. Maybe it's just about dopamine.
I think I've done you and Yukio a complete disservice by childizing your point. You have a wonderful point, and I just threw it into the gutter. Good job.
You did, but that's okay, because that's what you do, Jeskid.
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
That's your brand.
Just kidding. Fuck, I'm sorry again.
No, I know.
We definitely have to do an episode.
I just want to like give a shout out to Yukio, because I think Yukio is on.
Yukio is the best. Yukio is the best. We have, and Guy Rader says we have not evolved enough. That's 100% true, but who knows where that evolution goes? We think evolution is always up, right? That shit could go down.
See, I think evolution is just getting us to a place where we're going to talk about everything instead of experiencing it. I think that we're just going to be in therapy from 9 to 5, discussing our experiences in life, once we evolve further, because somehow we won't have any like basic human things to take care of. Like we'll be fed, we'll be watered, we'll be slept, we'll be whatever. Like we're suddenly like we have all this free time on our hands to philosophize about all the shit. So
well, that's why that's why I was talking to somebody the other day. That's why the Terminator. That's why the Terminator is
Bring it back to the
fucking
Terminator,
scary. Because that fucking guy is not worried about, I came back from the future. And what do they think of me in the past? And I wonder if I'm doing the right thing with my terminating life. And, that gun's not up to my standard that I'm going to kill that lady with. And that's not, I didn't get the fucking big role in Cybernet or whatever the bullshit, Skynet. They sent me on this mission, and why do I have to do this shit work? That guy's just like basic. He's like, I'm going to kill that lady. And then you're like, no, but dude, you shouldn't kill that lady. No, I'm going to kill that lady. And there's not even there's just, I'm going to kill that lady. He's basic. And so I think we need to be
there's
more
no moral dilemma or
right.
or like technological dilemma, right?
Yeah, it's
not
simple.
Questioning his weapon of choice.
So is our evolution to become more where we can have these kinds of conversations? Because this kind of mental masturbation, which I rather enjoy, right, is actually, it's fun for me, right? But is it bad? Will it make us more happy to be able to just keep talking about these things endlessly and keep overanalyzing them? Or will it make it, you know what I'm obsessed with? Forget all this shit. Every time I fucking take a sip of this coffee, right, like this, I see how hooked my nose really is, how like slanted. And it just covers it perfectly. It feels like it's been made to be inserted and covered into this fucking thing. Like if I were to leave it here, it would just stay permanently. And I feel like I was cheated. How do I have this fucking schnoz that takes up so much of this lens? And that makes me unhappy.
Well, but then we are in a time of medical
and yet happy that I can talk about it.
Lop it off if you want.
Why would I do that? I would have nothing to talk about.
People do. They lop their noses.
I'm not lopping shit.
I love noses. I've had ex-girlfriends tell me how much they hate their noses, and I think they're beautiful. Like, I don't understand this nose obsession. I don't understand. Like, what is this? Why?
Josh.
What's the perfect nose?
Josh,
yes.
Josh is into noses. It's a new fetish. I've never heard it.
I'm a nose fetishist.
I'm a
nose man. I'm a nose man.
He came over to me one day, like he came visit me in New York. He's like, hey, dude, you know what makes me happy? That fucking fat nose on that girl walking the street.
Yeah.
It was he said it a little less creepy. Not as creepy as that.
Yeah, it was.
He said,
no.
He said it just like this. I want to fuck that nose.
Wow.
I'm just saying. He's a nosy dude. Josh is nosy. Exactly, Mike. That's exactly
interesting. Right. That was a good reverb.
Did you like that? As a filmmaker, did you appreciate that, Redneck? How about you?
I ain't no filmmaker.
No, he's an actual, like, you know.
You're a real person. We respect you and your thoughts on happiness. So, Josh, do you have I don't know if people in the chat would have this. I know you do. One of the funniest stories, I'm going to tell a story about Josh, right? Can I, Josh? About the Pokemon?
Yeah, we have no secrets, whatever you
We have a
tell.
ton of secrets. We're not telling everything today. We have no secrets. Fuck out of here. We're secret.
Well,
we
actually do have several secrets.
Yeah. Let's not get crazy now, you know? We're not gay, but if we were, we'd march together.
I'm not going to tell them how much I worship your nose and fetishize it, but yeah, I'll just keep that to myself.
Please do.
Did I say that out loud? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, fair enough.
I could pick it. I meant like a strike. I meant I'm striking.
Music. We'd have to dim the lights. We'd have to make that a thing.
Wow, you guys get weird quick, don't you?
Yeah.
Sorry. I put on some music.
Each other a really long time because.
Jess, what story? Yeah,
I got to turn this music off. I got fucking music going on. What am I doing?
Let's tell a story. What is the story you're telling me about me? Tell me a story.
Okay, well, hold on. Reacher asked me. I have to say this out loud.
You're actually going to read that.
Of course. This is the internet, so sometimes comments need to get read. He says, "Hi, smiley face. Been a long time. I miss your vids. Wink." Right? Sorry to ask here, but will you ever do gay porn again? It's a real question, right? Or are you a full-time streamer now? He said no, but I think he meant now, right? And then he put another happy face. And I want to tell you that streaming is gay porn. So welcome. Are you enjoying it?
You know, you did tell me you was a filmmaker, but I never asked you what kind of films you made.
Does it matter? Don't judge me. You don't judge me.
He's won many adult video awards.
Let me tell you,
He's a frequent.
When I was popular as like not a child, as like when I first started the internet, I was very known in the Rooster Teeth community and all these other places, and still am in some ways. And I knew I was successful. I'm not joking. It was like 2002 or 3. And I think one of my guys, remember this, Guy Rader, if you're here, I think you are, that somebody took my picture that I put on IMDb and put it on manmeat.com. And I'm not talking M-E-E-T. I'm talking M-E-A-T. And had my whole profile and descriptions of something like celebrities who I guess are super gay. I don't know what they were trying to say about me, but there was a profile for me on this site. And I was like, wow. And by the way, off topic. No, I'm not going to say that. You never get that point where you're like, I'm going to say this thing, and you're like, that's just too far. And my brain went too far, and I said, like, will this make me happy? And then, okay, part of happiness for me is intertwined with regret. Because I say a lot of shit, and then I immediately regret it. But I don't regret it because I think it was wrong.
It's because you don't have to hunt and gather. That's all I'm trying to say.
Oh, you don't think if I was like, hey, fucking deer that I'm about to kill, what's up? I'm going to kill you. I regret that. See, that wouldn't go through my mind. I just killed a deer.
I don't think you would regret killing the deer if you're fucking starving and you don't have any other like things to think about, because the whole point of society is to eat and procreate and survival of the species and all that stuff. So I think we just have to like give a shout out to our history of like
we do
not having to deal with all this nonsense. So let's just
I often think about, like, I say things in terms of caveman days. Like when I see some person walking down the street and they're carrying their little fucking dainty bag and like and their high heels, and I'm not just saying women, it could be anybody. But like it's like I was like, what the fuck would that person do in caveman days? How would they survive? Like what do they do? Like what purpose does whatever that is?
There's no accessorizing in cave.
How you gonna hunt a saber tooth with your nails that are 14 inches long?
You're not gonna hunt them in Jimmy Choo's. I don't think that.
What if your fucking extensions get caught in a tree? Yeah. Like how do you escape?
Yeah.
You know, are you gonna call Redneck Rebel, the firefighter, to come rescue you from a fucking tree while the saber tooth is hunting you down below? I don't think so. You're fucking dead. You're not gonna survive.
Might be out of our job description there.
A little bit. I want to go to the chat room for a second. Calamity Jane says, "Oh, Jeskid TV, you remember? You're the best." Wario132 says, "To this day, the boy that used to bully me at school still takes my lunch money. On the plus side, he makes great Subway sandwiches."
I love that.
That's amazing.
Wario,
we love you, Wario. We love Wario 32.
Just kind of like
stole my heart.
Won this entire podcast.
I think you won the internet. You just won the internet. Wario
132 won the internet. That was great.
Pretty top tier chat. And I like that one.
But going back to being happy,
this topic is really producing. I just want to say a shout out to everyone who's in the chat room, because I just think that this topic is producing some amazing commentary. It's like really. The meaning of life is actually happening like on the right side of the screen, just kind of scrolling up, and I love that.
Right, it's amazing.
I would definitely like to say that too, because like I actually enjoy like seeing other people's perspectives. I think that's so interesting. Personally,
me too. But that goes to Zed's point, right?
Take that stuff and then take it and be like, I never saw it that way. That's right. And then maybe I kind of reevaluate maybe how I feel about things.
Exactly, and you've just saved a bobcat, according to Mr. M. Dosick.
M. Dosick is he or she is awesome.
You know this person, man or woman, or gender fluid person. Yes,
gender fluid. Look how correct you are. Did that make you happy? Did that make you? Wait, hold on. Wait. We have to cycle in on this. He said gender fluid, right? Did you say that to make other people happy? Or out of fear that it would make people unhappy if you said the wrong thing?
No, because I'm a filmmaker who has made a film about gender fluidity, as you may know. So I'm very versed in the topic. So I think the world is changing in many ways to a point where
I'm just curious.
Yeah,
I'm not bi-curious. I'm just curious. I just want to be clear. Not that there's anything wrong with it. I'm just clear. And I want to say I have a lot of experience with gender fluids.
Well, I see where he's got. It might have went over Josh's head.
I know. It's all over Josh's head right now, dripping down his face. It's disgusting. We may have to call the fire department for Redneck Rebel happens to know somebody to.
I gotta ask you now. Ask you now. What the fuck do you think we do? What do you think our jobs are? We don't clean up fluids.
You clean up, bro. You clean up fluids because. Aren't you on isn't there some sort of firefighter fucking calendar that you're on? Or don't all firefighters pose for fucking calendars now? Isn't that a thing? Because chicks are into firefighters? They are.
I've never been asked to do that. Probably.
Really?
Maybe I'm not attractive enough. Who knows?
You don't have the Kentucky version of that where you're all sitting on some car in somebody's lawn?
Well, no, but now
that's racist.
Now we have to look at the IT
Kentucky
guy
racist.
calendar.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
the IT
guy.
You could make IT. That could make you happy. That would make me happy to see you chilling on the fucking IT hot guys calendar of 2019.
I mean, that would be a great calendar, wouldn't it? Hot IT guys.
You could be.
You could be a whole industry.
You could be C++.
Jeez.
Oh wow! I see what you did there. Wow.
Yeah.
That's old school internet language joke. Okay, yeah.
I'm trying to think of some thing for HTML, but I got nothing. But we have a bunch of coders in the chat room, by the way. So I think that do you think we've reached a conclusion? Look, where am I going away? Why am I over here? You're fucking up your thing, Jess, you idiot. Okay, there we go. So what is happiness? Let's sum it up. What did
you do? Your stream is.
I fuck up everything, bro. This is what makes me happy. I told you. Rule number one is relief from pain. So I cause myself a problem so that I can solve it. I'm like that lady who poisons a kid to solve the problem, except I'm the one that's getting poisoned. That makes me happy. I poison myself so I can fix it, so I can say, oh, wow, I fixed it. So anyway, on to you. So let's figure out what happiness is, and then we will conclude this part of it, and then I'll probably move on to the next thing I do. But tell me what happiness is. Sum it up.
I guess I kind of stick to what I said. I think it's a lot of definitely a personal perspective, right? Like what makes me happy and fulfilled doesn't make somebody else the same, right? Like, and I think there's really like no wrong answer to it. Happiness is what drives you and fulfills you. That's what it is. Whatever that may be. That's what it is to me.
Josh?
My conclusion about happiness, is that what we're going with?
Yeah, bro.
Okay. I think that happiness is about like not thinking at all. Like I think that thinking is the problem. I think that I do really believe in terms of like, the Eastern philosophies, the Buddhisms, and the idea that we really have to find a way to not analyze everything. Because I think it's, that analysis paralysis they talk about. Like, it's like we're just we're just talking too much about everything. Like we're not enjoying life because we're constantly having to evaluate it and document it on social media and take pictures of it and filter it and make them into GIFs and like, like worry about how many likes we're getting and how many reposts we're getting. Like our lives are theoretically now we're constantly auditioning every moment of our life for millions of people out there, or probably hundreds, or even dozens if you're like a real person who doesn't actually be followed by a lot of people. But you're just like somebody who's constantly asking the internet for like external validation, and you're constantly asking the world to tell you, that you're valid and you're a good person, and then makes you into then those little moments of those little dopamine rushes, to go back to what Yukio Hano was saying, like those little dopamine rushes are what we live for. We live for those things, those validations, those things, like how many people like approved of my moment, approved of my experience. And I just feel like happiness might be forgetting about all that. And I know we can't really unplug, because professionally, for most of us, that's a dumb thing to do, because we lose. But I just think that if we had the opportunity to just try to live our lives and enjoy the moment, and not have to pull out our smartphones and take a photo of it and put it out there for other people to evaluate, I just feel like we might just get back to what happiness really is, and just living with a person and being with a person, and not worrying about a relationship status, and not worrying about having to keep all the people apprised of where we are in a relationship status. And just like, it's just, I don't know, I feel like somehow we're in the cycle that does not help the cause and make happiness possible. That's sort of where I'm at.
So I'll conclude this in the most positive way possible, because I'm experiencing a form of true happiness right now, in that I'm experiencing many of the things that I described that make me happy. Camaraderie with friends, as we have with everybody in the chat room. Relief from the pressure that something like this may or may not go well. And I think that this did go very well. Feeling excited by the future of this and where it could go. This is happiness. Laughter, stimulation, big hook noses, girthy penis.
I gotta say, the idea of the Jeskidding podcast makes me very happy, because I think that you, sir, have a lot of amazing insights and things to say about this world, and you're very entertaining in the way you say them. So I would subscribe to your podcast.
You're very kind.
And that would actually contribute to my happiness, because I would like to think that every week I would listen to Jeskid's take on the world, because I feel that it's important. And I know you feel that your skills on Overwatch is also important, and I agree with that. But I also like the fact that you're branching out and giving us some actual, Jeskid wisdom on top of that.
Or I was gonna say Jisdom, but no, we're not doing that. That's next week.
Jisdom. Oh,
no,
wow.
Totally different.
Woo!
It's a different show. Sorry, I got brains confused. Must move on. So
I love it.
I do you? No, do you?
No,
it's
I
a nose.
I love that. I love
Just
that
kidding,
that's where your brain went. That I said Jeskid wisdom and you went Jisdom.
Yeah, I can't help it. I can't help it.
That's really very cool.
Thank you.
And
Thank
smart and fast. Your neurons are firing very quickly.
Well, he's referencing his recent film.
Yeah, exactly. So listen, guys, I'm hopeful for where this goes. I think we're gonna do this format, this podcast, this show twice a week, and we're gonna have different guests. And I'm gonna try, if I have the time, to take them, download them, edit them, put them on iTunes, put them on YouTube, and just keep growing out this amazing, amazing, amazing community. I am nothing without the people that are with me, and that thinking that way and being that way makes me happy. Because even if I'm the spearhead of it, even if I'm the one putting more work or less work or whatever that is, the fact that I have people with me doing it ties into what makes me happy, is a sense of I belong to something. I'm part of something. Something is uniquely ours together.
Yeah.
And that's fucking amazing. And I just can't say how excited I am to do that. So, and to have a place where I can share my work, maybe make some films and put them here, and people will watch them. And maybe there'll be some value out of them, and people will be a part of them. I don't know. But we're in that potential moment, We're in this moment where something could happen. That's fucking exciting. Excitement for me is happiness. I'm looking at myself on the camera. I can see how I look here, and I'm like, I see the shine in my eyes. And that shine in my eyes is not coming from me. It's coming from you. And that's exciting. That's exciting. That's happiness.